And a big hey now to everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. No, won't be playing this game during the stream. No, I could if you guys wanted to, but let's pop this guy off here. Boink. All right, another T-Share day. May have some people join us here on the stream. We'll see. We shall see. Let me check my audio, make sure that's coming in okay. Looks like it is. All right. All right. So let's go take a look. What do I have for you today? So big hey now, happy Saturday. And for those of you who are back in the past, still on Friday, happy Friday. Happy Friday. All right, so let's go take a look at the payout per T-share and what that looks like going into the future. So most of us, if you're already tuning in here, you probably already know this is the case. But let me put my comments on here. You can see our payouts per T-share in the past and where it's been. You know, started out there at 0 and kind of worked its way up 7, 8-ish. You know, had these big days. That was unfortunate hack back in the day, I think. I think that one here. Now this is 24, so perhaps not the hack. I think the hack was back here in 21. All right, so we topped out somewhere around 755-ish, 8475, right towards the beginning of the year. The OA came in, did the big staking, and now we're down here at the 1 point something level, 1.5 level. I'm going to change the dates on this so we can see this a little bit better and how it may change as we go into the future. So let's do 3/1/2025. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, a little bit different definition. So it doesn't look like it's going up that steeply. However, you know, it's always a matter of perspective as to what's going on here. I'll bring this out just a little bit further to the first of this month, and boom, it'll look a little bit different. Let's go a little bit further. 15th, and let's go to the 20th and see what that looks like. Okay. All right. So this is, you can actually see the OA stakes on here. You see where every time you get a little jump up, little jump, you know, out here next year in March, 27 in March, you see little tiny increases on this screen. Let's bring it back and then it'll look a little bit better, be more pronounced. You can see kind of like these step ups, mostly OA stakes, right? Boom. 29.30, assuming these stakes remain intact, boom, up. Payout, another OA stake, another OA stake, another OA stake, and then finally when you get to the end, boom, you know, OA stake ends. Now we don't know what the OA is going to do. I wouldn't make the assumption it's, you know, what it's going to do, right? Either way, restake, not restake. I mean, we can go off of the past and say, well, we've never seen the OA restake, but we had also never seen the OA come in and stake. So we just don't know. Just don't know. And so we'll just have to watch it and see how it goes. But I do see it going from 1.5, you know, potentially all the way up to 2.3. And then a big jump at the end of 3. So very slow increase over time. And so those of us who are staked, you'll have an APR that will slowly rise. That's always been the case. But you know, as what we've seen in the past, you know, it's always been the case. But that's what we'll see now going forward. Just a slow rise in the payout per T-share. Now that could change, right? I mean, we could see a whole bunch of people come in and potentially change the staking behavior if that happens, right? We might see something different go on, more stakes, you know, whatever. So could see some changes in that way, and we can go from there. Yavine, hello, hello, and yes, let's go. Let us go. And Addie P, nice to see you. Catching a live stream. Mr. Amazing Crispy. I'm crispy today, man. Crispy. Crispy. I didn't realize that was like a positive slang thing until recently. I've always been crispy. So yeah, hey, Shellfox, how are you? Slow and steady wins the stake. That's right, guys. This is a marathon. It's not a race. It's a long time. It's 15 years. Cycles with HEX. I'm thinking I'm going to do an update to my staking strategy document to kind of reflect where we are today. I mean, essentially, it's a good observation outside in TradFi when you're talking about, earnings and being able to live off of retirement funds. The rule of 25, the 4% withdrawal rate, all applies. And for those who aren't aware of what that means is, they did some deep analysis of the stock market and came back and said, hey, listen, in general, kind of like high level, 97% of the time, if you withdraw just 4% per year, you will maintain or grow your nest egg, right? So that's where the 4% rule comes from. And so that's because typically you have a pretty wide range and volatility in the markets, but you'd have a good chance of keeping your principal forever and growing it at 4%. Used to be 3%, but that was a little conservative, maybe. But 4% is the number. And so the rule of 25 is just simply, hey, when you're outside of crypto and you're talking about investing in order to make an income, you take your desired spend per year, you multiply it by 25, and that is how much you need to have invested in order to have a 4% withdrawal rate. Now, there's other ways you can calculate all this stuff and do it, right? Anyways, coming all the way back to HEX. So what's interesting to me is how roughly doing a staking ladder now, if you do the average over the 15 years for what the staking ladder will earn, it's roughly 4% APR, roughly 4% APR. It's a coincidence? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's a coincidence. But here's the thing is with the staking now, man, at least from, I know it kind of put a wrinkle in my passive income plans because I was just planning on, getting a good amount of HEX, on a regular basis and having my ladder, right? And then it didn't matter about price appreciation so much, right? But because if I was calculating from the bottom, they could still do that actually, right? 4% just requires a lot more capital. But now I care a lot more, and everybody should care a lot more about price appreciation. And I know we've all been dreaming of that for a long time. So of course we would like to see price appreciation. The thing is, we can't predict it. I mean, we kind of predict it, but I don't know. Me as an individual, I can't control any of it, right? I feel a little powerless to affect price other than in the moment with my own situation. All right, let's see here. But yeah, so I'm gonna do that. Yeah, Addie saying I need a T-shirt, man. Some of those memes with my picture in it were funny as crap. I don't know if they look good on a shirt though. Maybe some of the cartoon ones would. That'd be good. We can come up with some other crispy ones. So I just do a stay crispy shirt. Stay crispy. Do you think the OA is resetting the HEX per T-shares every 5 years? The payout today looks like, yeah, it could be fine. It could be. I mean, man, I'm really reluctant to predict anything. But what we can do is look backwards and say, well, what did the OA do? Yeah, the OA reset it after 5 years. Okay. So, but Richard had always talked about, there's a lot of criticism always, against RH. We hear it all the time. But he had gotten some criticism about the inflation rate and the amount of APR that was being given. And actually, it was great for true believers, right? That came in early because they got a ton. But he had also come out a couple times. I heard him at least in one stream where he was talking with an interviewer, and he was like, "Hey, you know, I kind of regret this because price appreciation would be better than staking, right? The staking is a necessary part of this because it's part of fulfilling the long-term dream of you know, not trading, right? That was it. But yeah, I mean, so it makes sense that it came down, and maybe the reason it came down so hard and so far, and he needed to do that was really to buckle up for those 2029, 2030 possible end stakes that may come early. And we'll look at that next. Hey, Archie, good to see you again, man. All right, let's go over there and look at that. We're gonna go back to here and see, you know, show everybody else what we're talking about. While I'm down here, let's go look at the average stake links for created stakes. A little bit higher on average for new stakes, open and closed on Ethereum. Yeah, right about 4 years right now on average. There's not a lot of staking going on Ethereum as compared to Pulse chain, but still active. About 3 years on the Pulse chain. When we look at the open stakes and we look at the average, 9 years on Ethereum and 9.1 years on Pulse chain. All right, we got that. So let's go look at T-shares expiring. No, that's not the one I wanted. I want to look at PHEX T-shares. Let's do PHEX T-shares. All right. So I'm going to take out 2040 just so we can kind of show this. I'm going to exclude it real quick off the screen and just show the mountains that are here. Now, this looks very, very neat. Oh, look at my little weird stuff, huh? All right, this looks kind of neat and orderly, you know, kind of like this increase in the number of T-shares that are going to be expiring per year. But really what's happened is the OA is staked in here, right? And so we had a depression like this, you know, before it was kind of like curved down. I don't have a filter for the thousands of addresses that were put up by the OA, so you have to take my word for it that without the OA, it kind of looks more like this. But you know, when we go out to if we go out to you know, 2029 and 2030, a large amount of these shares that are out there, these are people shares, right? So these guys here, and so we've got these shares that are out there. They're just kind of hanging out, and so the guess is that, hey, listen, if people got a lot of HEX out here, there's something like we can go look and see how many billion, several billion that could be claimed, but there'd be like 30 billion in penalties. We see 50-cent HEX, dollar HEX, actually probably anywhere north of 10 cents. I would expect to start seeing people merge the end stake. Not because I think it should happen. I don't really desire it, but it would benefit me. But I think they'll do it. Maybe they'll do it because you know, money now versus money later, and that's kind of like a real thing. Bird in the hand. I mean, if you had a few million HEX that you could retrieve out of a stake, and you could actually cash it out after penalties, you know, $1 million or something. Why wouldn't you consider that for 500,000? Is it the right thing for the community? Maybe not. Is it the right thing, you know, for you? Maybe. I don't know. You know, it's a lot of value. You know, 500 grand. We were just talking. I was just talking to you guys about, you know, the rule of 25 and 4% withdrawal. $500,000 takes a long time to save. You know, believe me, it takes a long time to save that. And so, you know, it's equivalent to winning the lottery, right? So why wouldn't somebody consider it? Oh, I don't know. Let's look and see. Addie P is saying, I saw a Twitter post a few days ago, which blew me away. It said there's something, there was only enough HEX for 286 to own 1 million each. No, there's plenty more HEX, but they might be talking about what's in liquidity, and that would be true. So when we talk about HEX in general, yeah, there's billions, there's trillions, right? Well, billions and billions, almost a trillion, I guess. But certainly, if we look at what's in liquidity, it might not be that much. So let's go look. Let's go look at the biggest pool. We'll go see how much is in there right now. Just so happens I have my visual up. I'm looking at the HEX pairs. I'm going to turn this to V2 only. I guess I could do V1 too. It doesn't matter. I'll do V1 and V2. These are HEX pairs. I want to search for the P-HEX. What do we got? And I'm going to put it in order by liquidity to find the right pair. So this is the largest pool, followed by Helgo. So we have HEX Pulse and then the Helgo HEX. Let's go to see how much is just in this pool. All right, so the pooled HEX is 238 million right now. So I'm going to say I have no idea where that number came from that you talked about, but at least in this pool, right, there's only enough for 238 people to obtain $1 million each. But to get that, they would have to quadruple the price minimum, right? I mean, geez, you can't even get, you can't empty an AMM, right? These automated makers, you can't empty these. So you can only go so far without driving the price way on. But I think that's the overall point. It's not about the specific number. It's just that there's scarcity, Let's go see what we look like for HEX E-HEX. What's the ratio looking like these days? I haven't looked. Let's look at the ratio real quick. All right, 0.2688 E-HEX. All right, it's the other way around. 1 E-HEX cost 0.2688 HEX. See our ratio. Oh yeah, we talked about this. I talked about this with somebody the other day. It's how I had this line drawn up here, and I was just kind of like looking at the price, see how it's bouncing. The ratio guys are going to play this game a little bit. I don't know. I don't know which direction it's going to go in, right? With everything. I know Mr. Dip Catcher, he's doing something with E-HEX. I don't know what he's doing. E-HEX got dragged down pretty hard with the Atropa and the PDI situation too, because there's a lot of connections with E-HEX into that, but perhaps it's recovering a little bit. This is a 3-day chart. This is a 3-day chart, so you can kind of see it that way. So let me go to days. We'll look at it a little bit different. So it came down here and bottomed out at the 0.24-ish level, and now the ratio is up to 0.26. Yeah, depending, of course, always depending on what people do. Probably see some sort of a retest of the 0.30. And if they're willing to let it go, maybe it'll go all the way back up to 3.4 before someone does a rotation. It's a little bit of a game of chicken for those who are doing the ratio trading. They just want more units. It doesn't matter which one. And they're going to just keep accumulating. That's something that Johnny Chaos always talked about, was that units are king. Units are king. Hold on one second. Oh, I can't talk and type. Is that a thing? I don't know. All right, let's go back to chat. Let's see if we got anything new in the chat here. Let's see. Boo boo. Yeah, it is pretty scary, Eddie. It is. They say that the exact amount doesn't matter. It is a lot scary because, well, it's super bullish, right? I mean, it's scary and like, wow, like I know I'm going to be crying. I'm going to be crying that I don't have enough HEX, and I have all this time to get more HEX, and it's like, I do what I do. I am accumulating, but damn, but I'm like everybody else, right? I'm like burnt at this point, just feeling it. Yep, matter of time. Yeah, parity might be, you might be right, Shellbox. 1-to-1 will be hype. Yeah, we do that. We're HEX to 1 hex. It's going to 1 hex. I'm forking MakerDAO to make it happen. Right? You might see that happen. Yeah, Addie, yeah, thank you. Thank you for listening. We're doing good. Yeah, Archie. Yeah, Johnny was talking to Corey's stream. Yeah, I don't know which Corey. I assume Costa, but maybe not. But yeah. I mean, he's been talking about that for a while. But I I don't do a lot of trading, even though I end up pushing the buttons a lot, right? So I don't do this. But obviously, some people are super successful at it. Always at your own risk. Always at your own risk, right? All right, let's head back over to boom here. So we were talking about this. I had taken out 2040. We see again these towers that could possibly end. Let's go look at Quattro Cincos. I did this last week too, and just see what we've been seeing for Quattro Cincos. Again, I'm going to knock February out and exclude it and just see. So we've come up in April to kind of about the same number of Quattro Cincos. And this isn't T-shares, so it counts, right? Because it's not just number of stakes. So real close to the same number of T-shares so far this month, and we still got another 12 days. So maybe we're going to see an increase in the Quattro Cincos. I don't know why people. I don't know. Maybe should I tell you guys secret stuff? It's not so secret, but you let me know in the chat. You want me to tell you some alpha? I don't understand why people aren't taking more advantage of Quattro Cincos right now with what you have available to you, the tools that are here. It's crazy. Let's see. I got some good stuff with that. We talked about the payout per T-share. Oh, this is just the chart with the payout per T-share on the same chart as the T-shares coming down. So if the T-shares were to end and as planned, and we maintain some sort of order where some of them actually get restaked, we'll drop down, several million per year as we go along. But this is kind of like an orderly progression of them ending. Doesn't really take into account, what will people do? I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what the OA is going to do. But based on what's supposed to be expiring and the dates, this is what this might look like. And so that gets us set up pretty good. But there was something that went through my mind. I was going to show you drawdown. Yeah. So this is what we're seeing again. Big opportunity for those who are already staked to stay sticky and to take their stakes when they come out and get more T-shares, because they're the only ones that are going to be able to maintain the T-shares without getting a ton more HEX. But they're not doing it really. It's really this is some of the lowest rates I've seen over the years. I think normally I was seeing around 20-30% drop. This is pretty heavy. So what is this telling me? On the Ethereum side, in the last 30 days, roughly 30 days, 47% of the T-shares, 47%. I gotta go look at this. I don't think this is right. Hold on. Let me look at this. Hold on. I'm looking at opposites. I think I got the OA in here. Let's go to the 1st of April. Yeah, we go. Looks a little bit different. Let me go to the 1st of April. Now I actually have a minus sign. Sometimes I just project what I think it should be. All right. So from April 1st, I took the OA out. All that activity took on with the OA. And so it's not quite a month. We take a look at the number of T-shares that were started versus ended. And we had on Ethereum 99,924 T-shares ended, but only 32,000 started. And on the Pulse Chain side, we had 161,000 ended, and only 93,000 restarted. So we're seeing a drawdown, stake over stake, where we're only seeing about 60% on the Ethereum side, actually on the Pulse Chain side, getting restaked. All right, so only about 60% are being restaked. That means somebody's getting 100 T-shares out, and they're only making 60 new ones, or however you want to say it. And Why that is super bullish is because, remember this? Remember we were just looking at this? We were just looking at the payouts, right? All right, let me remind you. Let me remind everybody who might watch this. Payout per T-share. Check it out. Okay, look what happened. Boom. Down. Quarter, maybe even a little more. 20% of of the number of HEX per T-share are coming out, right? So all these guys in the beginning, they got a whole bunch, right? But now going to the future, the stakes aren't getting it. But what happens? What happens while while they have these low payouts, right? All right, this is what happens. Let's go. All models. Boom. Here's the T-share rate. T-share rate don't care. It's already pre-programmed. It's got stakes all the way out here to 2036, 37, beyond. It's already going to increase the T-share rate because it already earned enough. Those stakes already earned enough HEX, right? And so if I was going to draw a line here, what this kind of looks like is that this line, these lines for the prediction going up to 80,000 or whatever in 15, 16 years, or excuse me, 13, 14 years. That's kind of like what the number's going to be. But what people can afford looks more like this, right? For a time, at least going out into 2030. And so because people are only going to have enough HEX to support a number way low like this that's coming out. And if that gap widens until the system resets a little bit further, T-shares are just going to be like absurdly expensive. It won't look expensive maybe, but they're going to be expensive. And anyways, it comes back to the idea that there's a gap here that you have an opportunity if you get a lot of HEX to get your T-shares, because people staking HEX are not going to be able to keep the rate up. They're just not going to be able to do it. Now, what will that look like? It's probably going to look like, it's going it'll look like over time, these percentages that we were looking at. We were saying drawdown here. See these percentages and whatnot. Of course, the date, the numbers here, right? 4141. This drawdown of 41%. It'll lessen maybe. Maybe it'll go up first. But over time, it'll lessen. People will be able eventually to maintain the T-shares that they're getting, right? But it's going to be tough. So, like, even if we look at the T-shares expiring, should pull up my old one that has the list of stakes and what it takes. Over the next month, just looking at what's been happening, I'm thinking we might lose another, another 113,000 T-shares on the Ethereum side, another 99,000 on the maybe 100,000 on the Pulse Chain side. So again, just kind of like reiterating the idea that, hey, listen, if you're staking, you're in good shape. In terms of that, like I've said to you guys before when we're talking about this stuff. If you're not interested in HEX staking, you probably shouldn't be watching this unless you're interested in learning about it. And you're not my audience to talk to for this. Probably not. Because this is just talking about all these really cool things we should be doing, for staking. And, and as soon as I start talking about staking, people, you just stay liquid. Just stay liquid, guys. Yep, you can. Just stay liquid. You stay liquid, you can sell. Thing is, will you get it right? I don't know. So again, you got to believe in the staking and that even the 4% is worth it. Let's see. Oh yeah, we got secrets everywhere. Now Archie's saying, yeah, we're affected. It's too bad we are affected by market. Well, it is the way it is. So macro is macro. Yvine says secrets. I've already told you the secret, Yvine. Well, we already told you, but we can talk about it some more. Chris Chris, have you done any simulations with the OA burning its stakes as they end, including yield? Just high level. I haven't gone anywhere with it. They're really, yeah, so let's dissect a little bit about what you're doing, hearing what you're saying. The OA burning its stakes as they end, there's no burning per se. I don't know what you mean by that, but if the OA does actually end its stake, it just mints all its HEX. HEX can't be burnt other than through the contract to get T-shares. So there's no like way to send it to the zero address and make HEX disappear, from there. So there's no actual burning. So whenever they're ended, whether emergency end stake or at the end, it's always minting HEX. Always minting HEX. And so, and the question, what do they do with it? So the simulations that people have asked for have been, hey, what happens if the OA emergency end stakes early? And actually, I think it's more of a case for them to emergency end stake early than there is to do anything at the end. But well, who knows? We don't know. Didn't know the OA was going to go stake anyways. But if the OA was to do that, my guess would be about, for all the penalties and everything that would be paid, about 10% of whatever they have in a stake would get distributed out to regular non-OA stakers, and all the rest would go to the OA itself. And that's because the OA already gets 50% and is also like 90% holder, of the T-shirts. So the OA is going to get the majority of those T-shirts. So it could create an interesting flywheel effect, but I don't want to be planning on it. I mean, some people are speculating on it, but I'm not going to plan on it because I don't know what the hell they're going to do. Racer Quad says, tell us the good stuff. The T-shares are going to be rare, Archie, and valuable. Praise the T-shares. I like T-shares. I do. Yeah, the T-shirt it looks kind of like a stable. It's not quite flat, but his payout looks like stable. Try to figure out some stuff there. Addie's talking about T-shirt. I don't have a huge amount of T-shirts, but feel good that I have as much as I can afford, and have stakes out to Cuatro Cinco. Even though I'm an old timer, too. Maybe you're older. I don't know. But anyways, yeah. I mean, it's really. Of course, there's always the competitiveness of talking about it the way we do talk about it, and everything's this urgent call of action, go get more. But it's really what you can afford, and I think that's a key point. Is to not to overextend yourself into crypto. It's been a hard 3 years, that's for sure. If you say, I know Richard does not like to play video games, but this reminds her of a real RTS game. Can't wait to see what happens. Yeah, it's kind of like this is LARPing almost, Oh yeah, chart time, worky dorky. That's it, or okie dokie. I thought I put an R in there, Machiavelli. I'm not sure if you're my Machiavelli or not, but when Jerome Powell go bye-bye, I don't know. I don't know. Anytime, maybe. I haven't been following. I'm going to give him a call after this stream, though. I'll let you know if I hear anything. All right, let's go take a look at the T-share rates, see how these are progressing. So, yeah, I mean, nothing's going to change here. We've been looking at this day over day. Very slow grind up into the right now. Things are very flat, right? And again, this is the effect of the OA stakes. Sucking up all those rewards. And so, yeah, T-share rate is going to go up into the right, but it's just not going to go this fast. We start looking out 60 days, you can see it getting up near that 42 level. 90 days, we're still looking at that 42 level. 120 days, we're up in 42, probably both chains. Go to the 25 chart. Let's see, end of 25, I'm going to guess around 45,000 by the end of 25, and 49,000 by the end of 26, and 54,000, by the end of 27. So nice slow progression. The reason we don't see this kind of like some sort of like really flat line or whatever is, remember, these big ones, we could actually go pinpoint the actual stakes they're going to make the changes, but these big changes that are going to be, going up, a few hundred in a day or whatever, sometimes are even bigger. Like this one over here is going to go from, 47.6 on pulse to 49. So you're going to have like, 2,000, hex per T-share change in one day if it was to end. And this is also over November, so you have to depend on that stake ending. But that's because these are older stakes that got all this yield, right? It's not because of the new stakes. It's because the old stakes got all this old yield in the past, right? And so it's going to bump it right up there. And then we go all the way out to it's almost 15 years out. I'm topping off at 80K right now. Roughly around there is where I think we'll end up with the models, whether it's the F2 or otherwise. You see some separation here. Probably be somewhere right around there. But we can calculate it every year. So I know almost for a fact that these numbers down here, day 2 out, are exactly correct, right? Almost to a fault, right? I know that because it's math and I already know what they've received for rewards, right? The further out we get from today, the less likely these numbers are exact, but we can approximate them. And hey, we were saying 300,000, so all this could change, right? The OA does decides to emergency and stake everything. I don't know, all this would change again, but I don't really foresee that happening. And so I have to watch it and see. But, right. I don't know what else. You guys have any requests? Drop them in the chat. Oh yeah, I'll give you my big alpha. So I don't know why people aren't doing like the free money thing. Like, why wouldn't you take free money? Man, it doesn't last forever. But if we go over to Actuator, that's not what I want. I want to go to Actuator Finance. All right, so go over here. These are where people can do HSIs and take their HSIs and borrow funds from them and whatnot. But if I have Liquid HEX, so what I did with it is I went and got the HTT 7000s, which are swapped HEX for it. HTTs are backed 1-to-1 by HEX. Anyways, so I got a discount on them, right? Locked in a 13% APR going out 13 years. And then I turned around and added them as a farm here in the farm. And I'm earning 73% farming it. All right, so that gives me a compounded, this is why I like this, that gives me a compounded 73% plus 13%. 1-3, let's see what it comes out to. I'm doing calculation by side. That gives me 95% APR on my HEX, all backed by the same HEX value and all safe from negative and permanent loss. So this is a big secret, even though I've been talking about it, and other people have been talking about it. Go check them out though, Actuator.finance. But I think this is like a huge deal, and this is kind of like a zero coupon bond, right? Because somebody can come in and when you get the HTT 7000s, or any of them, doesn't matter. It's instant reward, right? I mean, you already know what the schedule is going to be. 1 HTT equals 1 HEX on the day, right? So you can simply figure out, and they have on the screen, exactly what your locked in APR is, what your earnings are going to be. And this is pretty cool. That's why it's like a bond. Super bond. A super bond. All right, my friends. Well, other than that, I think I'm going to go ahead and peace out here in a moment. Oh, yeah, I see another message here. Yeah, hey, Archie, I've spoken to Axis. I know he's been doing some stuff with the family and, his work and whatnot, but yeah, we were talking about streaming this week. We never did. Never do. But maybe next week. Maybe next week. Being saying, hey, I'd like to see some different ladder strategies. Sure, we could do some of that. At this point, it's a matter of, keeping it simple. We could do real simple stuff because, and I know we've talked about a bunch about laddering in the past, not you and I personally, but perhaps, but just overall, we could be looking at strategies. But I think the keeping it simple works. I mean, Hexologist, he has a pretty good scheme. You just set up a ladder. I don't know if it's exactly like this, but set up a ladder where you're ending every January, for the full year. Take what you need at the time, set aside everything you need, and then just watch. And then depending on how the market is, you decide if you're pulling out or not. So that might be a way, but we can talk more about that on another one for sure and get into some detail. Yeah, I like the Actuator project, but it's hard to figure out how to pay taxes. Yeah, I mean, crypto's a pain in the ass. I hope they get all that all set up. Crime fighters, Shellfox. Crime fighters. All right, and then finally, Marcavelli's talking about with the perpetuals liquidity swapping such things, slippage can be a real buzzkill. Yeah, it is. It is. I think in the Actuator, in the case of Actuator, now I do think we're going to see some differences happen with the markets as they mature in general. Now with Actuator, the the heavy liquidities with HEX. And so it's pretty good. It's not so bad. I mean, it's still slippage that's there, but the whole incentive is to get more HEX LP'd with the HTTs so that there's even less slippage, right? And so that's the idea. I mean, to have zero slippage between two things, you got to have a fat pool. Fat, like think 10x the size it is, right? So it's kind of like when we talk about collateralization and whatnot. You want something to peg to something else. You need like 10 times the value, in terms of the pool, just to get it there. But anyways, yeah, there's some slippage there. And one of the things I find myself doing nowadays when I'm trying to move something around is I'm sticking to like lower numbers, and it takes a lot of patience, right? Because man, a lot of things they all move 3, 5, sometimes even more, 10%. Just where you try to get them, and that's where some of these techniques you want to learn about V3 to move and that type of thing comes in handy, because you set up a V3 position and pay no slippage, right? Because you let the market come to you. It comes to you. You do that with V2 as well. It just takes a little bit longer. Usually a lot longer to get there. But yeah, so if you guys want check out the Actuator Finance. I think some of you may know that I launched a couple of games. I'll show you that. They're not for money or anything, but I'll show you the games. Be nice to figure out how to do stuff for money, but I don't know about that stuff. Let's do a bit. So I created 2 games just for fun stuff. Where you can come in here and play the shooter game, and you shoot your tokens. There's some Easter eggs out there. I got some Axis in the back and some solid X tokens to drop down. So you have that. The other one, that's Bubble Shooter. The other one's the Pulse Chain Match game. I don't know. I had 18 people play it, so maybe they're all part of crypto, maybe they're not. I don't know, but maybe they'll become aware of some other stuff. So the match game is just simply. This took a long time for me to make, by the way. It was stupid, but guess what took them out of time? Creating the cards. I should have done something different with it, but this is just like kind of a match game. Why are they all next to each other? There's the up, the solid X. So if this is your kind of thing, you could do this. It helps me with my dementia. Woo! I don't have dementia, but at least not yet. Now, well, at least I guess not sure I would know, but here we go. So you have these different ones that are here. You have these different cards that are here, and you can play along. So with that, let's go ahead and close out. You guys stay crispy. I'm going to go ahead and play. I'm going to end the stream and play the outro. And then we'll head out. Yeah, hey, Chris O. Or O, Chris O. Or Chris. Yeah, the, yeah, there's no burning. There's no burning in HEX in the normal way. And it's just because the contract doesn't allow it to even go. You can't send it to the 0 address. So you can't even send it. So let me I'll drop the links out here for the games in case you guys want to see them. So you got Pulse Chain Match Game. It's a memory match. And I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I just playing around. All right. And with that, guys, we will see you next time. And we're out.